And we are live. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for jumping on, tuning in. I'm super excited for this Facebook Live. My name is Alisha Fernandez, and I am coming live from the Gold Coast. I know I usually have the sunset in the background, but today I have an extra special guest. So I was just like, I don't need the sunset. We have this beautiful lady on to make the live more interesting. So as you're jumping on, please say hello. Pop a hello in the chat box below so I know if you're tuning in. And if you're watching the replay, pop in hashtag replay below so I can give you a shout out for tuning in. So I'm super excited. I usually come on and talk a bit about health and fitness. So today I thought I'd mix it up a little bit and invite a very, very special guest on today to talk a little bit more about relationships and love. So I have this beautiful guest on, Sue. Say hi, Sue. And Sue and I met, I don't know, months ago at a networking event. And there were so many people at this event, but for some reason, we got to sit next to each other, we got to meet, and we hit it off, and we've become friends ever since. So she's taught me so much already, so I thought that I'd get her on and share with you a little bit about what's on her heart, especially what's going on in the world right now. I know in Victoria, over here in Australia, a lot of people have gone into lockdown, which means that they're spending more time with their significant other, with their partner, their wife, their husband, their children. So I thought I'd invite Sue on to maybe chat about a little bit about some strategies around that and how we can overcome or prevent unwanted, arguments in the household. So Sue is definitely qualified in the area of relationships. She has a plethora of degrees. She's got X amount of experience, but I truly believe she's just got a beautiful heart, and that's the most important part. And she's been married to her husband for 32 years, so I give you credibility for that. So Sue, welcome to the Facebook Live. Welcome. Thank you for being on, you beautiful lady.
Thank you so much, Alisha. It is so good to sort of talk with your fan base, just sort of thank you for having me on, because it's just, amazing to talk about sort of, relationships, which, I sort of believe is kind of the most important, especially with, husband and wife, or, partner with partner, is the most important relationship we can ever have with a person on the planet. And I just, yeah. It's my jam, as my daughter says.
It's your vibe, it's your thing, which is why I'm excited to dive deeper into this. So before we do, tell us a little bit about yourself for the people who are watching that don't know you, a little bit about yourself. I know the toughest question on the planet to begin with.
I suppose, and some of it is, and I'm going to be raw here, when we're sort of, online and sort of so forth, because, it's, from where I started from, I sort of came up from dysfunction, a sort of abusive father, a very authoritarian mother. I was sort of her only child. I was the youngest of like 7.
Wow.
Spoilt. So the other two, sort of siblings sort of said, you're a spoilt brat. What do you, so I ended up leaving home at 15 and sort of went, what the hell was that? Like, how do I want to do relationship? Because I sort of like, I want one, I don't want to go through the pain of all this, that I had lived with, for so long. And so I went, well, ask the people who know. So I went and spent the next, 10 years until I met my husband, well, boyfriend at the time. And I just, sort of started talking to, so people about how do you do relationships? What is it that's most important? What would you do if you were to give advice, what it is? And I just picked up like this little sponge and picked up the good stuff. And then I met sort of David, and I sort of said, look, one of the things that got me sort of into a relationship is that we were walking down a street one day, and there was an older couple, like they must have been in their 80s. And they were sort of really close together. They were sort of looking at each other, smiling and laughing, and they were holding hands. And I just said to David, that's That's what I want us to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I want us to be courting our whole lives, be in love our whole lives. So if we want that, how do we get that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of the start of him and I sort of spending the first 3 years of our marriage, really, sort of thinking about how are we going to do relationship. And then we then just lived it, brought up two beautiful girls in it. They're now, what is it? They're now 29 and 26. And they're in their own long-term relationships with their boys for 8 to 10 years. And one just got married last year. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we just lived it. So how Metaneo came about is this the fact that someone asked me, we've just been married a year. How do you, at the time, I was 25 years anniversary, how do you survive that? So I started talking to her and I kind of got my passion in the belly and I went, ooh, is this the universe telling me that this is the path I should be taking? And then, so I sort of went, who's going to listen to me? So that's when I went back and did the studies. Sort of got a postgraduate in psychology and I've got a master's in counselling. So, so I combined my experience of what David and I did, coupled with, sort of obviously the theory that I learned from, sort of the masters in my studies to develop an education program for couples to come in and have their own amazing relationship.
Oh, I love that so much. And by the way, you shared that life story so well. I was like, oh, I learned so much about you. So that was really cool to hear. But I love so many things about your story, how you saw that old couple and you were just like, that's what I want, but how do we actually get that? And the fact that you were self-aware around that area, you're like, okay, how are we going to get there? And I love the fact that you've got two beautiful girls. You have an amazing relationship with your girls, and they are also in happy long-term relationships as well. So you definitely have the experience around that department. So thank you for jumping on and, of course, sharing a little bit about yourself. So tell us, I know we've been chatting and we're like, what should we bring? What should we chat about? And you said to me, okay, we're going to chat about the 40s. I'm like, okay, the 40s. I don't know what the 40s are. I sat before I jumped on the live with you and I said to Lloyd, I'm like, what do you think the 40s are going to be? And we were trying to guess a couple, but I would love for you to chat to us and, educate me, educate those watching, especially if you're watching now and you've followed on for this long. Hopefully that this is going to provide you some value for yourself or someone else that you know. So yeah, Sue, tell us.
Yeah. A lot of times we get, we get 4Ts, I'll get to them, in a bit, but the 4Ts create, I know it's a bit of a teaser. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep you hanging on. The 4Ts is what created love in the first place. All right. If you sort of think back, and I'm going to ask all your listeners out there to think back to their, I suppose their courting days of when they met their partner and where they met their significant other, and just put your mind to what was happening at the time. So the 4Ts sort of developed love. Or created love until you sort of decided, look, we want to commit to each other. We want to spend the rest of our lives together. Then life started to get in. And when life starts to get in, we sometimes forget about the 4Ts. And we just sort of live today and every day, and maybe the kids come in and maybe there's other stuff and work and the COVID and everything like this that we sometimes forget. And when sometimes we wake up and we sort of go, well, I'm not in love with you anymore. And I'm wanting to sort of tell your listeners out there that love is not something that you have and then suddenly it's gone. It's an emotion. And if we feed into love, doing the right things, love can grow again, because that's what happens. If we don't feed into love, it's going to disappear. Like anything. So, to give your listeners sort of hope is that if you loved one another and you had that connection when you first, that initial attraction, when you sort of first got together, then you can get that back. But we've just got to do the 4 T's.
Oh, I love it. If you want to know what the 4 T's are, put love in the chat box. I was laughing earlier because Lloydie said tequila.
Yeah, no, that is not right. I'm going to use my trusty board up here, and I'm actually going to
love it. Getting visual.
The 4 T's. Alrighty. Yeah. So now, so you can see. Oh, heck! I did it right in the middle. That's not good. That's all right.
The 4 T's.
The 4 T's. So now I'm going to ask you to think back. And think back to how you met. So how did you meet Lloyd? I'm gonna use you. You're gonna be my guinea pig there, Alisha. How did you meet?
So it's a long story, but I'll summarize it as quickly as I can. So I actually met Lloyd in Sydney when I was at university. He was actually my older sister's friend. And we didn't initially get together. We were just friends. He was my sister's friend. And then 3.5 years later, I was back in Dubai. We went out. We had a big party. We drank tequila and had beer. And we eventually got together that night. And we've been together ever since. So we've known each other for a very, very long time. But we've been together for nearly 9 years. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you've got a nice, good long time. So again, thinking back from that first date, right? And your listeners as well, think back what you were doing on that first date, all right? That first date was important. What were you doing in that first date to keep going to, well, let's have a second date and let's have a third date and let's, It's the 4 T's, dear. It's the 4 T's.
What is it? Well, we were just having, I was thinking back to the first time we actually went out, the first night we got together. We were having a lot of fun. It was just like, oh, I want to get to know you, but, oh, do you like, it's just that whole unsure but excited. So,
so in going out on the date, what were you doing? Spending?
Yeah, spending time together.
Time. Yeah.
So you definitely spent time together. Yes, time.
So time was the first one that you spent time. And what were you doing in that time that you were spending? Were you just looking into each other's eyes going, hi, how are you?
we were having fun. We were getting to know each other. We were dancing.
Getting to know? What were you doing getting to know? A tea?
Oof. Pardon?
We talk.
Oh yes, we were conversing. We were talking. We were probably talking a lot of gibberish because we were drinking. But yes, we were definitely talking for sure.
Getting to know each other is talking, sharing your stories. Yeah. It's just talking.
Yeah.
What else were you doing on that date, or the one next to it? I mean, did you end with a kiss or a hug, or were you?
Yeah. So we were touching each other. Oh. Yeah. I'm going all red and pink.
So we would touch, we hold hands, we, sort of we connected on that sort of physical level. We were, sort of holding, we were sort of cuddling, we're hugging, kissing, that type of thing,
Yeah.
And with the talk, the last one is that over the space of time that you kind of met together and so forth, you became You became a team. Yeah? Because you wanted the same things. You kind of sort of said, well, I'd like this way, or, I'd like to have this, and I'd like to sort of share my life with this, and this is where I'm going. Do you want to share it with me?
Yes. So true.
And so when you became a team also includes respect
and
trust. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%.
So that there, those 4 T's created love. All right. Now, when life gets into stuff, we get working, we get this, we live together, we come, kind of take each other for granted and things like this. If one of those T's fail, they all fail.
It's true though. Yeah, because I was just thinking about that. If you remove one, yeah.
So if your talk now gets into fighting, all right, we bought a new house and we're fight, or we're just fighting, we're miscommunicating, we're not sort of getting on the same, we're not becoming a same team, we start fighting. Then when we start fighting, it's like, well, I'm not going to spend time with you because we keep fighting all the time. And so it's like, so time's out, talk's out because we fight all the time. Touch, I am so peeved off with you that there is no holding on hands, there's no kissing and hugging, and there's definitely no yes word.
Yeah.
Keep it safe.
Yeah.
And then you cease to become a team, so you start losing respect and you start losing trust with each other.
Yeah, which links back to not talking to each other, because if you don't trust each other, so all loops.
All right. If we get too busy, so even if we're not fighting, we get too busy that we don't spend time. We've got snippets of this here, and we've got kids' attentions, we've got work attention, we've got everybody else's attention apart from our partners, then we don't spend time. And I'm not talking time in the same room, sitting on the phone. That's not time. I'm talking quality time where you're sitting down and having a good old chin wag.
Yeah.
That's the time that I'm sort of talking about, where you're just sharing stuff, when you're having fun together, when you're laughing together. So when we stop spending time, we then stop talking. When we stop talking, we stop becoming a team. And when we stop becoming a team and stuff like this, we don't touch.
Yeah.
We're too busy doing other things. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense.
If we don't become a team, if we sort of wanting to sort of, go off in different directions about where we're wanting to go, and we're not sharing what, the directions that we're wanting with our partners, then we cease to become a team. And so therefore now the talk becomes heated, and because we're not on the same page going in the same direction, then we stop talking and we stop touching. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
If one fails, they all fail.
Right.
And then love, because we're not feeding into love just dissipates. And you wake up one day and sort of say, well, I like you, but I'm certainly not in love with you. And that's because we haven't fed it.
Right.
We need to feed love. Otherwise, if it doesn't, it just goes away. It's an emotion.
Yeah. That's so powerful, just to say in itself that love isn't an emotion, and that it can be fed, it can be nurtured, and it boils down to something as simple as the 4 T's that you mentioned behind you on the board. And it's just boils down to self-awareness, being aware that it is those 4 T's. So I guess, I don't know if you were going to talk about it, but maybe what if someone is watching this live right now and they're like, okay, I feel like I wake up in the morning and I just like my husband, I don't love him anymore. Where would you suggest they would start? Like, they've watched this live, they found out about the 4 T's, and they're like, okay, what would you suggest they do next?
Well, one of the things is, when I'm doing sort of couple counselling and so forth, one of the first home play tasks I give couples right from the very get-go, and I sort of say, these homework task is consistent, because I have a 10-week program over the 10 weeks. They are continuous. You keep doing them, and you keep doing them for the rest of your life. And the home play is, and so your readers can do home play tonight. Now, we've been here sort of nearly 20 minutes. You've got home play tonight.
I love it. Let's go.
And I just want to put in there, please, don't ever say, and I'm putting this as an aside, please don't ever say, or you have heard the words, from good psychologists and, professionals out there, oh, you have to work at your marriage. Okay. Yep. When we have an association with work, what's our whole body do?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to. It's duty. It's responsibility. It's like, oh, glory. And it's like, you want to do that in your marriage, in your relationship? So I've changed it. And I've changed it to play. And that's why we have a playbook. That's why we have play. You play in a relationship. Because when I say play, what's your immediate thoughts?
Yeah, it's like fun. Let's go. I want to play. Yeah.
Let's have some fun at this. Relationships should be easy. Yeah. And they should be easy if you do the 4 T's. Spend time together, having fun, talking about you wanting the same issues or that you're wanting the same things. And if you have any issues, find solutions. We've got solutions. Find them.
Yeah.
Touch. So this is strategies for going forward. That was a little aside.
Yeah.
In your marriage, don't work. Not going to happen. So it's from the get-go, I introduce and I sort of say, because when we have dysfunction and so forth, I sort of say, by the clock, 2 minutes, twice a day, hug for 2 minutes, twice a day, all right? If you can do it, by the clock. Set an alarm on your clock every day and go, hug time.
Yeah.
Because we're bringing touch back in to start feeling.
It makes my heart like, oh my God.
So we've got to touch. We've got to start hugging and being into when you sort of having issues and so forth, just being into someone's space where you've got your head on their shoulder and you're just present with them for 2 minutes and just breathe. It's something amazing and magical about that, and it's giving yourself time to do that, to just stop and be in each other's presence. So that's the first thing. That's number 1.
So if you're writing notes, if you're listening, it's to time yourself to hug for 2 minutes twice a day, right?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yep.
All right.
So
awesome.
that's it. Forever and a day.
Yes.
Right. The second issue, the second thing is that I usually get sort of people to, and I might put this up on the board as well. So if I put it here, is to schedule. Can you see that?
Yep, schedule.
We've got to schedule talk days
and
we've got to schedule fun days. So if we're having dysfunction, all right, in terms of that, 2 days a week. For an hour, if you can, is to have talk days where we take the issue without the emotion that happens. We take that issue and then we get to find a solution through negotiation, collaboration. All right, find a solution. And the rest of the day is the fact if we're having dysfunction and we've got to start laughing together, having fun. That's what brings you connection, that physical, mental, and emotional connection. That's what makes life bearable, is where if we can, with our partners, the one that we sort of are committing our lives to, is to have fun.
Yeah.
Keep the music on, dance around the lounge, cook together, play cards, board games, walk. Don't care.
Just have fun. Bring the fun back. Yes.
Bring some fun back. All right. So therefore, if we schedule stuff, we then have to maybe do some list of issues, right? So when instead of trying to resolve issues, issues when we're in high emotion, we write them down and then prioritize them. Right, on talk day, we'll deal with this one. One issue, one night. The rest of it is to actually do funsy stuff, fun activities. Fun activities. Do a list. Stick them in a big bowl of glass, all these activities. Go onto the internet, research, couples fun. If you're in families, do family fun stuff, Could be picnics. It could be whatever it is. And then one of the couples do something fun activity this week, the next one does it next week, and you pick it out the bowl.
Love that. Love it.
You know, so you've got fun, you've got talk, and we can then start spending time.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So that's the strategies that I use right from the get-go when I'm doing sort of couple counselling, is the fact that we've got to bring the 4 T's back, you know.
I love that. And Lloydie said, horizontal dancing. We all know what that is. He wants to have someone and he wants to play. But it's so simple, which is what I love most about it. But we've got to work to overcomplicate it. And, you know, just sharing, just looking at that on the board right now, what you have, and just thinking about the 4 T's is just like, it's so simple. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And bringing the funsies back, bringing the play back, bringing all the 4 T's back into your relationship if they've, you know, disappeared for a little while. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. I learned so much, and you are a wealth of knowledge in the area. I know you have a website. Do you want to tell everyone your website that they can go and check you out, and your YouTube page?
Yeah. Well, for, you know, I've got all the social medias. Instagram, does for me. It's not me, it's my daughter. I give credit to her. Thank you, Alexandra. But my website, just look under, you know, sort of Metanao Counselling, spelled. Let me do it.
Perfect.
Metanao.
Beautiful.
Metanao. So if you do, just if you just Google Metanao Counselling, then you'll sort of see all my websites. So you can click onto the website. It now works. Thank you, Alisha. So you can go straight to my website. It has, you know, blogs in it that you can read. It also, I've got a whole lot of YouTube channels, so you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you've got kids, young ones and up to maybe 10 or 12, I've got about 72 videos that I've actually read stories. So it's Stories with Sue. So if you hashtag Stories with Sue, you can get your kids to actually hear me reading stories to the kids. So, you know, the Berenstain Bears, you know, Dr. Seuss. And then for the older kids, we've got actual little novelettes, you know, mysteries and stuff like that. So, you know, get the kids, if they're in lockdown, get them, you know, get them listening to me read a story, and they can read along with it. So, yeah. So that's cool. And I think Alisha has frozen, and I don't know why. So yeah, guys, you know, just have a look at my website. But it's metanao.com.au, and yeah, and have the most amazing fun ever. And yeah, just love your relationship you're in, and do the 4 T's, and you'll be awesome. So thanks, guys, and you know, and thank you, Alisha, for you know, for having me on here. And yeah, so bye for now.